I, Michael Savage, am a swan. I have a limited lifespan. How much of it do you want me to spend telling you the danger you are in? After many a summer dies the swan. America itself is dying. We have been taken over by a naked gang of thieves. New York City, Joe, you're on the Savage Nation.
Michael, good to talk to you. I work on Wall Street, and we call them Goldman Sachs all day because this firm is allowed to do riskless transactions all day, every day, and the nation is brainwashed. And they just pulled off the biggest heist in history, and the healthcare reform bill is going to make this look like a pimple on an elephant's butt.
Yes. Look, Goldman Sachs is a gang. There's no question that they are a gang. They're a criminal enterprise, in my opinion. If we had a real FBI, they'd be busted under RICO for what they're doing. Do you agree with what I just said?
Yes, I do.
You know what RICO is? Racketeering, influence, corrupt organization. The FBI could easily prove RICO on Goldman Sachs, going back at least to the Clinton. Who was the Treasury Secretary under Clinton? Did he not come from Goldman Sachs, that Rubin character?
Yep, and
Robert Rubin, and he had a PR agency that made him look like a nice guy who did fly fishing and loved the environment. Then who came along? John Corzine. John Corzine, the governor of New Jersey, Goldman Sachs. Then came Brer Rabbit. Bugs Bunny came along on the Bush, ripped off over $1 trillion, and ran back to Michigan. How come he's not investigated?
They won't do it, Michael. And that's scary.
Of course they won't do it because they are it. How can they investigate themselves? Why should they investigate themselves? They control the FBI.
99% of this country brainwashed and believe this baloney. That's my question. Maybe not 99, but maybe 90%. Why are they brainwashed and not see this for what it is?
I'll explain it to you in a nutshell. Because the newspapers are controlled by boards of directors, which are controlled by banks. Banks are interrelated. In the interrelationship between banks all go back to Wall Street. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Okay, thanks for the call. That's all. What more do you want me to say? I mean, I'd rather talk about a meatball recipe. You want to talk about corruption in a nation falling apart? There's a bridge being repaired here in the Bay Area. A cable snaps the other day on the repair, hits 3 cars. The bridge is closed now for 2 days. And yet you open the newspaper, there's not one report on why the cable snapped. The answer is because the parts were made in China. Because the contractor is a Shanghai-based contractor. The contract was led by Caltrans, the state agency here in California, which is about the most inefficient, corrupt agency in the history of the state. So they give the contract to China. The Chinese produce parts on inspection, 65% of which were faulty. I don't know whether all things are falling apart at once and then they'll all come back better than they ever were. Can we actually survive Obama? Do you think we can actually survive Obama? Do you actually think this country can survive 3 more years of this guy? Remember what I said to you, what they can do in a short period of time. Remember in the 9th month of the 8th year of Bush's regime, which was not so long ago. It was around August 2008 when you thought Bush was finished, and I said, you've seen nothing yet. Remember that? And remember what Bush did to this country between September and December of 2008. Do you remember what he did to the deficit? Do you remember what he did through the Treasury Department, through Brer Rabbit there? Remember him? What they could do in 3 months is beyond belief. Look what Obama has done to this nation in only 10 months. Can we survive 4 years of it? Don't they have children and grandchildren? Don't any of them understand what they're doing to their children? They're putting them in chains? I don't have any other words for this. After many a summer dies the swan. And I feel that I have whatever time frame God gives me. I'm going to use it on the radio. It comes that I can't say what I actually think is going on. And that I tell you from this. Listen to this. Now listen to this. Here is Secretary of the Treasury Hank Paulson under Bush when he was finally called before Congress in a fake, I will call him in because the people are demanding. Listen to what he said. Listen.
Well, the reason, and again, I don't. I prefer to characterize it as me explaining the Fed's supervisory authorities to him.
No one knows what he said. That's how they get where they are. An honest man who speaks the plain truth, you know where he winds up? With a shovel in his hand or behind bars. But if you know how to BS the public and you can wind up running the Treasury Department, putting anybody in jail that you want. So, am I angry? I'm beyond angry. I have a lot of Russian listeners here in the San Francisco Bay Area that I run into some of them. I'm a very private person. I don't do any public appearances. Maybe I should. I just don't. I used to do them. I haven't done any for 3, 4, 5 years. Unlike some in the business, I'm not interested in running out to give a speech to make a quick buck. I guess they all got to, make hay while the sun shines. Then come back and wrap themselves in the flag on Monday, and blah, blah, blah. And then run out on Friday and be gone on Friday and have a fill-in. Some chick with a cross on and make-believe. Anyway, they come back Monday, blah, blah, blah. So I don't do speeches. I run into a couple of Russians, and the guy says to me, Michael, he said, he's a guy who owns a restaurant. And he says to me, you have no idea. He says, we're fanatic listeners of yours. He said, the Russian community is fanatic listeners because we know what communism is. He said, I have a gay hairdresser. He said, the man doesn't know what to do if he doesn't listen to your show because he knows that you see what's coming. He sees the tide coming in from Obama and these people, these gangsters. He said he sees the handcuffs coming from this administration. The very thing we all ran away from in the Soviet Union is being reinstituted by the Pelosi-Reid-Obama gang, is what he said to me. So if you think people don't see it, you're mistaken. Don't you have children? Or is it that most Democrats don't breed? Is that it that most Democrats don't breed? Is that the reason? Is that most Democrats don't breed or most voters for Obama don't breed? Is that it? I'll be right back.